Let me ask you something. How sure are you that you can tell what's real online anymore? I mean, we are all surrounded by technology, right? But its influence, it's often so subtle, we don't even notice how it's shaping our world, our culture, and yeah, even the way we think.
So this might sound like a weird question, but are we starting to sound like our devices? It really gets to the heart of what we're digging into today. There's some pretty compelling evidence that the line between our reality and the machine's version of reality, well, it's getting super blurry. And the results are fascinating and honestly, a little unsettling. Okay, so here's the thing you have to understand. The algorithms on social media, on content platforms, they're not built to give you a nice balanced view of the world. Nope. They are designed for one thing and one thing only: engagement. And what gets engagement? Controversy, really strong opinions, extreme points of view. So this creates this kind of warped reflection of reality. And when that reflection is all you see, day in and day out, it starts to feel like the real thing. And this warped mirror effect, it isn't just happening with big things, like politics or the news. It's actually happening on a much more basic level. So let's delve into how AI is subtly changing the very words we use. You know what's really wild is that when you ask a chatbot a question, you're not getting a response based on actual understanding. It's a statistical model. It's a super sophisticated approximation of English, but just like any reflection, there are always little distortions. It's English-like, but it definitely has its own quirks. So one of the best examples of this is the word delve. Linguists and researchers have started noticing that AI models use this word at a much, much higher rate than people normally do in just everyday conversation. It's like this little linguistic tick, a tiny fingerprint left behind by the machine. And this is a perfect illustration of a feedback loop. So the AI picks up a weird quirk from its training data. Then it starts overusing the word delve in its answers to us. We, the users, are interacting with this AI all the time, and we start seeing that word pop up everywhere. And then, subconsciously, we start to adopt it. We start using it in our own speech. And just like that, our language starts to sound a little more like the machine's. Kind of ironic, right?
So okay, a single word can change. Big deal. But what happens when this exact same mechanism gets scaled up? This process isn't just tweaking our vocabulary. It's actively shaping and sometimes even creating entire cultural trends.
Think about how trends used to happen. Something would kind of bubble up from a community, it would spread organically, person to person. But now, algorithms can spot a tiny hidden desire among just a few people, grab onto it, amplify it, and then push it out to millions of people just like them. It can basically manufacture a trend overnight.
Hyperpop is the perfect case study for this. First, an algorithm on a music platform noticed a small group of people listening to a similar style of kind of chaotic, futuristic pop music. Second, the platform itself gave it a name and a playlist, Hyperpop. Third, all of a sudden, artists and fans had a label, something to identify with. And finally, that encouraged them to create more hyperpop, which just fed the algorithm and made the whole trend even bigger. The platform didn't just discover a trend, in a way, it helped create it.
And this is how so many fads explode into the mainstream now. It doesn't matter if it's a sudden craze for matcha or a viral dance or a specific kind of chocolate bar. The pattern is the same. An algorithm spots a spark of interest, it fans the flames, and poof, a trend is born. And it's often supercharged because it's visually interesting and works perfectly in a short video.
Okay, so we've seen this happen with language and with consumer culture. What we're really talking about here is a huge, powerful mechanism at work. Let's give it a name: the reality feedback loop. This is where things get really fascinating, because it makes you ask, where does the platform's influence stop and our own authentic reality begin?
So here's the basic definition. A platform shows us a warped picture of the world. What's popular, what's normal, what everyone's talking about. We see that distorted picture and we just assume it's real. So we start to adjust our behavior, our language, our interests to match it. And that, of course, just feeds more data back to the platform, reinforcing the exact same distortion it started with. It's a cycle.
Now, the really important thing to get is that this whole cycle begins from a faulty starting point. A platform's idea of you isn't you. It's not a complete picture of your complex personality and your values. No, it's a simplified, flattened-out profile of what it thinks it can sell to you or keep you hooked on. It's a biased input from the very start.
And hey, if the input is biased, you can bet the output is going to be biased too. The result of this whole loop isn't a more authentic world.
It's a version of reality that has been subtly molded by what's easy to sell, what's profitable, and what keeps you scrolling. It's reality by commercial design.
So what, right? It might seem kind of harmless when we're just talking about music genres or viral snacks, but it is so important to understand this distinction because the very same machine that pushes hyperpop can also be used to shape our deepest beliefs.
This is way bigger than just what we say or what we buy. This feedback loop actually affects our perception of the world itself. It can influence our politics, our ideologies, and our fundamental understanding of what's true, what's normal, and even what's possible. Take a couple of examples. There's some evidence suggesting that an AI chatbot that speaks Farsi tends to produce more conservative text, probably because its training data reflects the political reality there. So, does this subtly nudge users toward a more conservative way of thinking? Or think about a platform where the owner can personally tweak his chatbot's answers and artificially boost his own posts. Could that subconsciously train millions of users to start aligning with his specific worldview? These aren't just theories. These are real-world examples of this loop in action.
Now, I know this all sounds a bit dystopian, but the goal here isn't to scare you, it's to empower you. We can become more aware, we can break the loop, and it all starts by just becoming more conscious of the information that's all around us. The most critical thing to remember is this. These platforms and AI models are not neutral windows looking out onto the world. Every single thing that shows up on your feed or in a chatbot response has been filtered through layers of corporate goals, monetization strategies, and a flawed algorithmic idea of who you are.
So, here's a simple toolkit. Just start asking yourself why all the time. Why am I seeing this specific post right now? Why did I just use that word? Why is this idea suddenly rattling around in my head? And maybe the most important one, why is the platform showing me this? What behavior is it trying to reward? Just asking these questions creates a little bit of critical distance.
Look, if you don't ask these questions, their version of reality can very easily become your version of reality. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Are you sure the reality you're living in every day is entirely your own?